Hello everyone, it's Hailey and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a plan with me for all the spreads of the month of February. I decided to go with a rose theme because it is Valentine's Day and roses are sort of Valentine's Day-ish, but also a few months ago I got an individual Tombow dual brush pen that I thought was the perfect color for a rose, and I was like, we should do a rose theme, and now it matches with the month. So I'm starting off with a title page that has a giant rose on it, and it looks pretty complicated to draw, but it's actually pretty simple. I found a tutorial on Pinterest, and you can find one really, I think, on Google as well. Just look up one and it'll be pretty easy. And then I'm adding a little stem and some petals, and then I'm going to be using my Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip pen to write February along the top of the rose and then 2019 along the stem of the rose. Then on the bottom of that page, I'm going to be writing a few boxes that help me plan the upcoming months. Because I use the bullet journal system, it's not like I have the next few months planned up ready to go. So if I find out an event that's happening the next few months, then I just write it here and then I add it in when I do the plan with me for that month. Then I'm going to be taking the Tombow dual brush pen that inspired me to do roses, and I'm coloring in the rose. As you can see, it's a nice, like, almost muted pink color. I really like it. And you do have to buy it individually. I don't think it's in one of the packs. But then I'm going to be taking a light minty green that is in one of the packs. I think I got it from the pastel pack to color in the stem. And then I'm going to be taking the harder part of the pink pen, and I'm going to be writing the abbreviations for March and April in this little, like, upcoming month box. And I actually did mess up April. I wrote ARR instead of APR, which I'm going to be fixing later. And then I did a drop shadow with the dual brush pen. Then on the next page, I'm starting off with a quote. It says, "Don't forget to stop and smell the roses." I think that is a nice little quote just to remember to kind of take a break every once in a while and think about, like, everything that's great around you instead of focusing on the tiny stressful things. And I used just my Fineliners, the Fudenosuke hard tip pen, and a Crayola Supertips. So the rest of this page is then filled out with a habit tracker sort of thing. I have tried habit trackers in the past for my journal, and they just haven't really worked out because I don't remember to go back at the end of the day and fill out what I have or haven't done. So it's slightly modified. Instead of having every day a different habit that I'm supposed to track, it's kind of like I have 4 general ones that don't apply to every day, and it's just general things that I can touch up on and stuff like that. So I'm starting with a header that says stay ahead of the game, because most of my goals have to do with getting ahead or just trying to be productive rather than waiting until things are due. And then on the side of the header, I wrote 2 little roses to kind of give it like ends to the header. Then the titles of my habits that I'm tracking are in a very simple cursive, and then the outlines of the boxes that I have for the trackers are sort of like brackets. And finally, I'm just coloring in the roses that are at the header and also highlighting the titles of the habits that I want to track. And then I'm starting my calendar for this month. I'm kind of keeping them all together in a simple, like, condensed block sort of layout. Previously in, like, November, I think I finished doing it, but the lines would kind of extend to the top and the side of the page, which looked interesting and I really liked it for a while, but I've gotten a bit bored of it and I want to include some more doodles in it, so I think it works best like this for my February spread. And the boxes are also 6x6 in case you were wondering. Now I'm making a title that just says February with my Fudenosuke pen, and then continuing that flower header that I'd used on the previous page, but with some larger roses. And then I'm coloring them in with the Tombow dual brush pens, just like I have for everything else. Then on the side, I'm including a box for YouTube. It is a little bit bigger than I think it needs to be, so I think next month I'm going to shorten it. But basically, it just keeps track of which videos I'm posting this month and when I'm posting them. And then I color the YouTube play button with a super tip. Then I am writing the days of the week on top of the calendar, and then I give the calendar a drop shadow, which I kind of wish that I had either not done or changed the color of, because as you can see, I'm using this one marker a lot, and I use that exact same color to line the tops of the calendar boxes, so it's a lot of that single color. But what's done is done, and I don't think it looks terrible. So then I start kind of doodling on the bottom a little bit, just starting off. I'm going to be making a bunch of roses coming out of the ground like they are growing there, but before I do that, I finish up by adding the lines at the top of each box in that Tombow dual brush pen color. So with the roses that are growing out of the ground, they are really simple. They're rose designs that I've been drawing since probably 2nd grade. It's just a very simple, like bowl looking shape. And then I'm coloring them in with various shades of pink. So I'm using Tombow dual brush pens as well as Supertips. And then to just give it a more detail or volume, I'm adding little swirls on the top of the roses, and it kind of looks like it has more layers or something like that. And then I just finished off this calendar spread by numbering the boxes in my calendar from 1 to 28. I was a little bit concerned I was going to mess it up because of the shortened month, but it ended up being a-okay. The next few pages I add in some things that are more fun and less planner-like. The first page that I'm doing is a gratitude log. I try to keep these pretty open-ended because I don't want to be restricted in what I write. I just kind of want to be able to jot down anything that I think was really fun or that I really enjoyed during this month. So basically I just have a header that says sweet as a rose, and it continues those little rose header end sort of things. And then I'm outlining the page with a border of thin, solid colored washi tape that I found very useful. I got some for Christmas and now it borders a lot of stuff and also just helps things even in my calendar when I have longer lasting events. Then the next page is something new I've tried. I've never done something like it before, but I feel like my social media in terms of my Instagram and my YouTube has been a little bit all over the place. I haven't been super consistent with what I'm posting and when I'm posting, so I've decided to organize it a little bit. So I started off with a header that just says social media in a simple cursive, and then on each end, instead of those roses with the stem, I go with the more complicated roses that I used for the title page of this month, which again, I said are pretty simple to make. And then I am basically tracking both some of my short-term growth and also what I plan on posting this month. So those small boxes are going to include my starting follower count, my ending follower count, and also either something that I really liked from this month that I posted or some other information about said media profile. So for Instagram, I have when I'm going to be posting, what I'm going to be posting, and when I'm going to be taking and editing those pictures. And for YouTube, I have what videos I'm going to be posting, when I'm going to be filming, when I'm going to be editing, and when I'm going to be uploading. And then, as you can see, I am highlighting the titles and header sort of things, and then giving the boxes a drop shadow. And finally, I have my first weekly of February. It is from the 4th to the 10th, and I'm starting off with just writing February in cursive at the top of the page, as well as the days that this week is going to include. And last month, I had a fairy lights theme, so I had a lot of strings of lights that I was used to drawing, and I decided to bring that into this month a little bit as well. So at the top, to kind of occupy space, but then also be a header, I have a sort of chain of roses that are very similar to lots of other roses that I've been drawing. They are the bowl type of roses, but then I'm also giving them a few petals. And then before every header of the days of the week, I'm adding a little bit of a decoration, and I have chosen that to be the more complicated roses. Like I said, they look more complicated, but they can be quite easy to draw. The only thing I have noticed is that they do take up a lot of time. So that is a bit unfortunate, but it's definitely worth it because I really like how they look. So then the next things that I'm making are these boxes on the side that I call this week and next week, and they basically remind me of big events or tests that are happening both this week and the next week that I want to keep in mind. If an event is in one of my daily sort of parts, then I think of it as night-to-night homework rather than something I should keep in mind all week and be studying for. And then in the bottom corner, I'm also drawing a larger version of one of those more complicated roses and also giving it a few petals because I haven't been giving things really leaves at all. And then I'm putting a smaller overview calendar in the corner because it makes it a lot easier for me if I have one of those because I don't have to flip between pages. And then I'm also creating a water tracker that I made a little bit before so I can just see how much water I'm taking in, and then also a small quote that says, "A flower blossoms to its own joy," which is interesting, I think, to me, because it just reminds me that you can be happy for whatever you want. And then finally, I'm just coloring things in with, again, that same colored marker. I really like how it looks for these roses, so I know it keeps things pretty monotone, but I think it looks really good. And then I am just, once I finish coloring everything in, kind of highlighting the headers that I have. So for this week, next week, my water intake, and also the small calendar, and then just adding in a lighter pink the headers for the days of the week, and then writing in what those days are. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. But before you go, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on what's going to be happening with my upload schedule. So I know for the past few weeks it's been a bit of a mess, and I haven't posted a lot, even though I said I was going to be posting a lot over winter break. But it turns out that YouTube videos take me a lot longer than I thought to make, and so I'm going to have to shorten my schedule to every other Sunday. I originally, in making this, thought I would be able to produce things every week, but it does take a lot of work, and it just hasn't really been happening. And that goes for Instagram as well. I will now be posting every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which is technically less than I had said originally, but it goes for the same thing. If I say that I'm going to post less, then I actually post more because I'm more consistent on my schedule. So thank you guys so much for understanding. I really appreciate the support and you guys sticking with me. And to be a typical YouTuber, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!